Well, hello, friends. It's Joni here at Joni's Journals. Yes, I know I've already hit you with my chair. Please excuse my squeaky chair. How is everyone? It is a very late time for me to be making a video, but I have been working on this project literally since about 6 o'clock last night, which was Friday. Today is Saturday. I worked on my prototype for, got to be about 5 hours. And then when I got up this morning, I remade everything that I did. And as you can see, I am still playing with the Jumbly Dolls from Tracy Fox Creative. I can't get enough of this kit. And I have this project, and I'm thinking about doing another project. But after getting this one done, I think I'm good, done for planning and prototyping for the weekend. All right, let me show you my very first prototype. This is called the Dolls Closet, okay? And my first prototype, as you can see, was rather tall compared to the second one. And I liked it shorter. I just thought that this was a bit too much. The height and length and all of that stuff. I just didn't really care for it. Now, as you can see, I did it with a file folder. And inside, I have a couple of flippy flaps, which are, you will see in the next one, are my closet doors. And here is my bureau, or my, what do you call them? My mother would call it a armoire. No, I call it an armoire. Some other people might call it other things. But this is my armoire contained in my closet, okay? As I said, I just thought that this one was a bit too tall. This is the back of it. And so I redid it in a shorter length, which is this one. And this is the one we are going to make today. This one's a little bit more fun, I shall say, and has a little bit more to it than my original prototype. So as you see here, we have a file folder, and we have our little flippy flappy here, okay? These are our doorknobs because we are, let me bring this up a little bit closer. You can probably see that there because we're opening our closet doors. And as you can see now, on each side, we have a doorknob. And also on our armoire, we have a doorknob. And our armoire opens up to reveal a little pocket, which has our dolls for our doll closet. And of course, one of the tags from the kit, because we do, of course, want to be able to journal and add little notes to our doll closet. So this has journaling space everywhere, and on both closet doors, on the outsides, and then on the insides, we have our little, they're pockets, but we're going to call them drawers, inside each side of our closet. I'm reaching over you. I'm just trying to tuck this in. I used up one page of the pockets, which comes with the kit, and I put a tag in each pocket for journaling, okay? And of course, you can see there's lots of journaling space here. And on the other side, we have the exact same thing. We have the bigger pocket with the medium-sized tags and some of the little journal cards, okay? On the back of each of these, I've used Tracy Fox's, Scrappy Scraps, I think it's called, kit. I'll link it in the description box below. But we have little tags in each of our drawers, okay? And so that's what we're going to make tonight, all right? I'm going to show you how I did it and give you all of the measurements and all of the score lines and show you how to put all of it together. And so I hope you'll stick around. This string is a little bit long because I wanted to fold it one way. And then I realized, I wanted to loop it around one way, and then I realized that the string that I made was too small. Okay, so let's get started. First thing, and this is actually one of the last things that I did, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doorknobs, and this one has a paper fastener through it, and that is the one that goes here on the very front of the journal. The rest of them, I just used some little gems. I don't know if you've ever seen in the older homes how they have those big fancy glass doorknobs. I actually have one from the house that I owned in upstate New York because I just love them. My husband doesn't care for them, but I do like them. So what you need to do for your doorknobs, we'll get started with the easy stuff since I have it out already. I punched out 25 1-inch circles. And you don't have to use as many. I just happen to like them a little bit thick. And I've glued together 5 sets of 5. Okay, so that will make all of our doorknobs. Now, the base of our little closet, doll closet, is a file folder. And what you're going to need is you're going to need 2 pieces that are 7 from here to here. We ignore the tab. We're going 7 from here to here and by 10. And we're going 10 from here to here. Okay, so you're going to need 2 of those. Now you want to use the ones that have the tabs on the outer edges of the file folder, not a middle tab. It just worked out better that way. I mean, if you wanted to use a middle tab, you could, but it's not really going to work for the design of the journal. Then what you're also going to need are, and these will make our pockets. I'm just unhooking everything. I've been inking and cutting and making notes since about 11 o'clock this morning. It took me about 6 hours to put this and the other one together with all the cutting and stuff. It won't take you that long, of course, because I've worked out all the measurements and things. Now, what you're also going to need, and this is for our bottom pocket, that's where our armoire is, you're going to need a piece that is 3.5 by 4 3/4, and we're going to score it, and we will do that afterwards. And then for our upper flap, the part that lifted up like this, you're going to need a piece that is 7 by 4 3/4, and then we're going to score that one too, and I will show you that afterwards. Now, you're going to need 2 closet doors, okay? So you're going to need 2 pieces that are 5 by 6 3/4, and you're going to score them. I'm going to show you this one because I've already done this in a way to save time. You're going to score and or fold if you don't have a scoreboard. You're going to score each piece at 4.5 inches, okay? That will give you this little flap that makes it easy for us to glue our doors in. And now you can see that I've used a couple of the background pages from the kit and I've matched them up so that we have 2 of the same closet door, even though they are cut differently. But they are both 5 by 6 3/4, and they are scored at 4.5. So I'm just going to put that back together so that when we start putting our journal together, we will have our pieces correctly. Now, you're going to need, from the kit, there is a page that has all of the pockets on it. So you're going to want to cut those out and prepare the little backings for the gluing, okay? And if you like to ink, I like to ink, you're going to want to cut them, score them, and ink them. So we're going to need that. I'm going to put that over here because we don't need that till later. Now, in order to cover your side panels, and that's the 2 pieces that flip out, you will need 4 pieces that are 4.5 by 6 3/4, and you can see I've rounded 1 corner on each piece, okay, and that's because I also rounded my corners on my file folders. So you're going to need 4 pieces like that, and I will show this to you so that you can write it down or take a screenshot or take a picture with your camera. 4 at 4.5 by 6 3/4. Okay. Now I've done a lot of the pre-work on this as far as cutting the, rounding the corners to try to save some time while doing this. Now, to cover your flaps, and I didn't write the measurements down, I do have them jotted down here in my book. For your armoire, shall we say, not our flaps, our pockets, or, whatever you want to call them, the little piece that flips up and the little pocket that we had as a tuck. You're going to need some cover pages for those too. So you're going to need one piece at 2 1/4 high by 4.5 wide. Okay, 2 1/4 high by 4.5 wide. And then you are going to need 2 pieces, because we have 1 piece on the front of our flap and 1 piece on the back of our flap. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 5 3/4 tall by 4.5 inches wide. Okay, and you're going to want to, if you round your corners, you're going to want to round your corners accordingly. This will be the piece that goes on the inside of the flap, and this will be the piece that goes on the outside of the flap. And so I've rounded my corners as needed. And I've also rounded my corners for my little pocket here. Okay, so those are the cover pages that you're going to need for your flaps. Now, for the center of the journal, you're going to need 2 center panels, okay? These are your cover pages that need to be 4 3/4 wide by 6 3/4 tall. And I'm going to show you that again, okay? You need a piece that's 4 3/4 wide by 6 3/4 tall. You need a piece for the outside and for the inside, okay? And then to make our little drawer for our armoire, you're also going to need 2 little expanders. I don't know what else to call accordions, okay? Here, let me grab the book back and show you. Okay, we have to unwind it again. Okay. All right, you're going to need 2 pieces. These are the little expanders, okay? All right, you're going to need 2 pieces. Again, I keep repeating myself, that are 1.5 wide and 2 inches tall, okay? And we're going to score these as well. These are a little bit fiddly to score and then to fold, but I will do at least one on camera, and we'll save these for last. I'll do one on camera. I may come back and do the second one because, like I said, they're very fiddly because they are so small. Okay, we don't need any of our panels right now or our flaps. We don't need any of the decorative pieces yet. What we are going to need to do is I'm going to grab my scoreboard, and I'm going to grab out the big one because it's just easier. All right, I move some stuff around, and I'm going to grab a drink. Oh, excuse me, my mouth was a little dry. All right, now we're going to start to score our folder pieces. Now you can see I've already scored this one, okay? And we want to make a little bit of a gusset in it so that when we fold it over, everything fits inside nicely. So as I said before, we have 2 pieces that are 7 inches high from here to here. We don't include the tab, and are 10 inches long. Now what you're going to do is you're going to score these. And I'm hoping, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the top. Maybe I'll do it sideways. That might be easier for you to see. You're going to take your 10-inch side, with your tab facing down. In this case, it's facing to the right, but it's going to be facing the bottom of your scoreboard because you're going to score and you're going to score towards the tab. All right, I'll show you what I mean. You're going to first score at 5. Okay. And you're going to keep moving your scores towards the tab side. And I'm having a little bit of trouble doing it this way. All right, I'm going to turn it back the other way. You're just going to have to take my word for it that these are the numbers we're doing. Because I can't do it. Let me see if I can tilt it up a little. Maybe that'll help. Okay, there we go. All right, your first score mark is going to be at 5. And you're going to move towards the tab side. So then you're going to score at 5 1/8. Okay. You're going to score at 5 1/4. And then you are going to score at 5 3/8. Okay, so it's 5, 5 1/8, 5 1/4, and 5 3/8. And that will create your gusset so that your folder will fold over nicely. And when you close it up, you can see better on this one, you're going to have that little gusset that you need in order to be able to close your little folder without any interference. And then what you're going to do is you are going to fold it at 5 3/8, and you're also going to fold it at 5. All right. I'm just going to fold this over like so on the area where we scored at 5 3/8. All right, and I'm going to push this down, and then I'm going to ink it up because I want my little gusset to look antique and old, like a little girl's been playing in her doll closet for many, many years. So we're going to ink along here. I've done a lot of the inking prior just so that you didn't have to sit and watch paint dry. Now what you're going to do once you fold this is you want your tabs on opposite sides, okay? So you're going to fold one from the left and you're going to fold one from the right so that when they close up, your tabs are in the center. And we will glue all of that together afterwards. Let's take this and get this out of the way for now. Now you're going to make your big fold over flap for your armoire, okay? Remember this piece was 7 by 4 3/4. And what we're going to do is we are going to take the 7-inch side and we're going to put it up at the top of our scoreboard. And then we are going to score at 6. We're going to score at 6 1/8. We are going to score at 6 1/4. And then we are going to score at 6 3/8. And here we are going to fold over at 6. And we are going to fold over at 6 3/8. And that creates our little gusset for our flap. And once again, we're going to ink it up. Okay, we're going to ink up the outside. And because we're going to see our gusset when we open our little armoire drawer, we're also going to ink up the inside on the 6 and the 6 3/8 line. Okay, and you can do a little on the accordion part too. Okay, so now we've created our top flap. Now we're going to create our little pocket. And remember, this piece was 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And you can see I've already jotted down all of my notes so that you could look and see what I was doing while I'm doing it. Now you're going to score at 2 1/2. You are going to score, 2 1/2. Okay, 2 5/8, 2 3/4, and 2 7/8. You're scoring every 1/8 of an inch if you haven't figured that out by now, which I know all of you are very smart and you've already figured that out. Okay, and just like the other one, we're going to fold over at the 2 7/8, And we're going to fold over at the 2.5. And this time we're just going to ink the outside of our pocket. And what I actually think I'm going to do, since I wrote on that side, I'm going to turn this and I'm going to fold it this way. And I'm going to ink all of the edges on this side instead. Okay, and this way we don't have to worry about seeing our writing on there. And we can just ink this up so that it's nice and inky. Okay, the inky word for the day. So yeah, I had planned to do this video this morning. I've been dreaming, well, not dreaming, I guess I should say designing this little doll closet in my head all week long. But the problem is that I never got around to even start making it during the week. It's been a very busy week. We've gotten a new student in our class, and he's adorable, but we have one more student and one less person because one of our ladies left. So it's been a very, very exhausting week. All right. So now we have all of our pieces scored and inked. And what we're going to need to do is we are going to need to glue all of our pieces together. Okay, I may go and glue these off camera and do some of the other gluing, putting the other papers on off camera, just so that you don't have to sit here while I do all of that. But what I did want to show you is on one piece, you're going to glue only in the center piece. You're going to glue the outside paper down onto one of the file folders. Okay, and we're going to pick this pretty lady. Remember, these are the center panels. They're 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. We're going to glue our little doll to the outside of one of the file folders. Okay, and I'm just going to grab my glue press, and I'm going to do that now. Okay. So yeah, I've been working this out in my head, excuse me, the hiccups, all week long. But like I said, I didn't get any time to actually do the prototype or cut any of the papers out because it's just been an exhausting week. All right, so we're going to glue our decorative piece with our doll, okay, to the outside panel of the center of our file folder. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take and we are going to glue our decorative piece on the inside of our file folder on the other panel, because we're going to glue these two pieces together. I just thought it was better if it was a little bit sturdier in the center because we had so much, I guess, heavy papers added to it, for lack of a better term. There were so many things that were being added to the center and also to the edges that I just thought that the center should be a little bit sturdy. I had thought about making a pocket out of the center flaps, and instead of gluing the panels together, leaving, only gluing 3 sides together, or 3 sides together and leaving one side open as a pocket. But it just seemed like it would be such a clumsy pocket that I thought it best to just not do that and just leave it as is. Okay, and now we're going to glue our center panel on the inside of our journal. I'm just making sure that's straight. Okay, and I do want to ink this. I didn't remember to ink this. I'm just pushing this down so the glue is staying stuck. I want to ink the inside of our accordion here so that I can glue the whole thing together and everything is inked. Okay, and I'm just going to bend this up here like so. What happened was I decided to flip this piece and I didn't ink one edge. Okay, so we're just going to ink this. And there we go. There we have it. Okay, so now we're going to glue the piece with the inside page, the inside decorative paper, to the piece where the decorative piece is on the outside. And I'm going to put a little glue on this around the edges, like so, and like so. And then so as that it doesn't interfere, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the inside piece just short of where we made our score marks on the other piece. So you can see here, and this is why in this case I liked inking first. I'm just gluing it short of where the fold is. All right, and I'm going to push this down, and I'm going to glue it together like so. So now we have our basic little doll closet all glued together. And I'm going to make sure that this is straight. And so we have her on the outside on the back. And we have this pretty piece on the inside of our center panel. Okay, I'm going to go away and I am going to finish gluing all the other pages on, and I will come back to you and we're going to do our flaps together. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. All right, and we're back. And so as you can see, I've glued down some of our other panels. Whoops, sorry I hit you. Oh. And I just want to show you that in all my haste, I rounded the corner on the wrong side of one of the inside panels. And so when I went to put it together, I said, oh my goodness, whatever did I do? But all I did was I rounded the other panel. We're barely going to see this once we add our closet doors on, so I'm really not going to worry too much about it. Okay, and I've left the last panel, which would be one of our other outside panels, to glue down with you, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put plenty of glue around the outside edges of our decorative paper, like so, okay? And I'm just going to keep going around, and I'm going to put some glue on the inside of the panel as well, so that it stays nicely stuck. And then we're just going to lay our panel down, and we're going to use this little crease here to be sure that our panel is straight, because on one of my prototypes, and that would be the first one I made last night, and it was probably because I was exhausted, but it wasn't straight. Okay, so this looks pretty good. So I'm going to push down, and I'm going to glue down the final panel of our little trifold doll closet here. So we have the inside all glued down, and we have the outside all glued down. And when we close it up, after we add all of the insides, it's going to look like this. And with any luck, our little tabs are going to match up, okay? So now let's get to creating our flaps. I think we'll do that first, and then we will put our closets in, our closet doors inside, and we will add our doorknobs, okay? So now this is the longer flap, and as you saw before, it is going to flip up this way. So we want both of our panels, our decorative panels that we're going to add to this flap, to be facing in the proper direction for when you open your flap. So we're going to take our one piece, and again, this piece is, 6 3/4 tall by 4.5 wide. All right, and we're going to add some glue. You can see I printed on the backs of these pieces And that was just because I wasn't sure when I was printing, I wasn't sure which pieces I was going to use for my closet doors, my inside closet doors. And on the inside closet doors, you do want to make sure that you print on both sides of your paper, because when you open your closet door, you want the decorative paper to be on the inside as well. I mean, you could make yours white or whatever color paper you're printing onto. You could just leave it plain if you prefer. But I wanted my closet doors to be pretty on the outside and on the inside. Okay, so this is the outer portion of our flap. And now what we're going to do is we're going to glue on the inner portion of our flap, okay? And you can see when it flips up, it's proper this way and it's proper that way, okay? I'm just assuming that this little mark here is the letter Y, okay? And so that's how and you can see these are the backs and the fronts of the papers that I glued. I could actually do the same thing. I could make the inside flap the same as the outside flap. Now, do I want to? Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Let's make the inside flap and the outside flap the same paper. That's kind of cute. So we'll just do that. All right. Yeah, we change it up while we're working on it. Why not? Okay. I do want to say hello to all of my new subscribers. I do have a bunch. And we are inching toward that 1,500 mark when I'm going to do my 1,500 subscriber giveaway. And hopefully, maybe that can happen over the summer. We only have 18 days of school left because here in the state of Florida, school ends at the end of May and begins the second week in August. And so, yeah, my school days are coming closer and closer to an end. And boy, we are all exhausted and we definitely need a summer break. I know some of you are probably saying, oh, how hard is it? If you're a parent and you stay home with your child all day long in the summer, you will know how exhausted we feel when we are with all of the little kitties for 180 days each school year. So yeah, that's how exhausted we are. Okay, so now we've created our little top flap for our armoire. And I just realized I don't know what I did. Oh, I didn't cut one out. Oh, lordy me. All right, I will worry about that. I will go off camera and do that again. And now we are going to make our little bottom pocket of our armoire. Okay, so we're going to glue this piece on. Oh, do we like that side better? Does that match nicer to that? You know what? We are just changing this up. I think I like that side better. So that's what we're going to do. Once again, we're changing it up. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Oh, for those of you who have been following the saga of my doggies, my husband has, by my request, been working on our back fence to make it taller because our little puppy, and that would be Whiskey Whiskers, is a little escape artist. And you may remember a couple of weeks ago, he got loose on me. And now he's getting too tall to be left alone in the backyard, because when he gets excited and he sees something he might want to see a little bit closer, he goes leaping, and he hasn't, thank God, knock on wood, he has not escaped that way, but it is not very hard for him to take a flying leap over our fence. And so my husband is working to raise the height of our fence with an add-on. And so, yeah, hopefully I will relax about letting him out with me just supervising. At this point, I will not let them out alone. unless someone is with me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to glue our little armoire flaps in. Oh, wait. No, we're not. We are going to first score our little expansion pockets for the sides of our little pocket. Okay, remember our little expanders. We need 2 at 1.5 by 2, and we are going to score them. I'm going to take out the little scoreboard for this. Hopefully it will be a little bit less fiddly. Just dropped something on the floor. Have no idea what it was. Hopefully it will be a little less fiddly with the little scoreboard. And what we are going to do is we are going to take our little pocket expanders. Okay, they're 1.5 by 2 inches. We're going to stick them up to the top of our scoreboard with the 1.5 inch side at the top. And we are now going to score at 1/4 inch, at 1/2 inch. We're going to go every 1/4 inch. So it's 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, whoops, 3/4, 1 inch, and 1.25 inches. Okay, so we're going to do both of them like that. I'm just going to grab the other one and do the same thing to that one. 1.5 inch side up at the top. We're going to score at 1/4. We're going to score at 1/2. See how fiddly this is? I can barely get a hold of it. 3/4 inch, 1 inch, and 1.25 inches. Okay, so we've scored at every 1/4 inch. Now comes the little fiddly part. Put my scoreboard away. Now what you're going to do is you're going to fold, okay, accordion style, on every score, okay? And I am going to attempt to do this while you watch. And yeah, it's easy to do, but it's just that it's so fiddly. Okay, and we're going to score it. We're going to fold it that way. I'm just going to push it down. And I'm going to fold it this way. I know you probably can't see what I'm doing, but it's easier if I do it while pushing it down on the table. Okay, it's a little bit off. I probably didn't fold directly on the crease. And what we're going to do is we're going to ink. Whoops, sorry, I moved you again. There you go. We're going to ink on that little accordion spot, and we're going to ink at the top, and we're going to ink at the bottom. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on this piece. We're going to fold it every 1/4 inch. And you're going to go the opposite way on each one. Okay, like do you remember making paper fans? Whoops. For those of you who made them when you were little, you would take a little piece of tissue paper or even a piece of colored paper, and you would fold it every which way and fan it out, and you made yourself a little paper fan. I don't know if you've ever made them. I used to do it. I guess it was the beginning of my origami career, and that didn't last very long either. I can remember when my daughter was little, I would take her to our local library for little activities in the summertime, and they did origami swans. And I remember it was a parent and child thing. And so I went with her, and we made origami swans. Oh gosh, I can't remember, and I feel terrible for not remembering, because it was marking an important event, and now I can't remember why we did them. You probably will know why. I had mentioned it at work the other day, and the art teacher knew exactly what I was talking about. Okay, well, we've created our little accordions. And so what we are going to do, I did this the opposite way before on my first one, so I am just going to do it the same way that I did it on my second prototype. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take and I am going to glue my pocket onto my file folder. before I add the little accordions to it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this piece here, okay, and that was your leftover after you made your little accordion before when we did all our scoring, and you're going to put glue on this part, okay, and you're going to flip it over and you're going to glue it down along this edge here, along the edge of the decorative paper, and we're just going to glue it down like so, okay, and see it's up to the edge of our decorative paper, and you're going to make sure that it's kind of centered and that it's straight as well, and you're going to push down, okay, and then you have your little flap. All right, it's glued right to the edge of that paper. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our little accordions, and with any luck these will be the right length, and they are. When I was doing my second prototype before, I made them the wrong size. Now you want to glue with your inked edge out. So what you're going to do, since this is non-directional, this portion of paper, you're going to put glue along one side of your accordion like so, okay, and we're going to take it and we're going to lay it at the very edge of, oh goodness, at the very edge of our pocket here, okay, and we're going to place the bottom portion of the little accordion, it keeps sliding around on me, up against this crease mark here, and that would be your very first, that would be your 2.5 inch line. Okay, so we're going to glue it down and we're just going to push, okay, so that it stays stuck. Okay, and you can see it's popping up like a little accordion. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to add some glue, okay, just along this one side here. And we're going to take it and we're going to turn our inked side out. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to push our little accordion up to the very edge of the pocket. Okay, and we're going to make sure that it is even with our first score mark. Okay, so we're going to slide it down a little. And we're going to push it. And now we have our accordions added to our bottom pocket. Now, in order to glue the whole thing together, we're going to take the glue and we're going to put glue on the other side of our accordion. We're just going to leave it. And we're going to do the same thing here on this side, okay? So that we can flip it over and glue the whole thing together. Okay, so we're going to fold on that one little edge there. And we're going to make sure that our accordions are tucked in inside of our pocket. And they should be even with this edge of our decorative paper. And we're just going to push down and we're going to hold it, okay? It's going to take a minute or two. We haven't got that long to wait, just to make sure that it's caught, okay? And so here you see, you have your little expanding pocket. I don't know if you can see that popping up there, but it is, okay? So we have our little pocket added. I'm wondering if you can actually see our little accordion on both sides, okay? And so that is our little pocket. Now we're going to turn this around because, as usual, I'm working against the tripod here. And we're going to take our flap and we're going to fold it like so. And I just want to add a little bit more ink to this edge here and make sure that I inked. Yes, I did. I inked it on the inside. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add glue to this edge here. Whoops. Just hit my water bottle. And we are going to glue this edge. We're going to line it up with the edge of our decorative paper here. Okay. And I know you probably can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to push this down so you can see that I did indeed line it up with the edge of our decorative paper. And we're going to make sure that it's in the right place. And we're going to make sure that it's even with our little drawer in our armoire, and we're going to push down like so. And there we have our little flap, or should we say our door for our armoire. I'm going to turn it around. And there we have our little armoire opening. Now you could add decorative paper here. It didn't bother me that it looked like file folder because it just matches our little creases here. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add our closet doors. Okay, so as you remember, I showed you I have one that is scored and inked on this side. So we're going to put a closet door on this side. And then I have one that is scored and inked on this side. And that will be our closet door on that side. Okay, so we're just going to glue along the edge here where we scored and we inked. All right, and again, we're going to line our closet door up with the edge of our decorative paper, okay? And in this case, it's quite simple because you're also going to match up your little rounded corner here. Whoop. Come on. Okay, and then just make sure it's straight. And we're just going to push down. Now, you could round all of these corners if you wanted to because they are covered up by the closet door. You don't have to. I didn't. And then we're just going to make sure that this is pushed down here. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. And we're going to glue down. You can see this is the other piece of paper that I printed on both sides because I wanted the inside of our closet door to be decorative. Okay? And we're going to match up, again, our little edges of the decorative paper, and we're going to make sure our rounded corner matches up. And now, because this is the piece of paper that I made the error on, we have a rounded corner here too. So our rounded corner of our one closet door is going to match the rounded corner of that other piece of paper. And so there we have our little closet doors. Okay? And when we close it, it's going to close up like this. All right? And now what we'll do, we are going to add our pockets onto our closet doors. Okay? And I showed you those before. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our bigger pockets and we are going to glue them to the insides of our doors like so. Just about centered. You can put them up or down as you like. The bigger pocket, really, you can place it anywhere. Just when you decide to glue the bigger pocket down, remember that it holds a bigger tag. Okay, so you want to make sure that you don't run out of space. You don't want to place your pocket too far up on your closet door because your tag will stick out the top. So I'm going to put mine down relatively low on my piece of paper, just above the bottom edge, okay? And make sure it's straight. And I'm going to push it down, all right? And then we are going to take our medium-sized pocket, and we're going to glue that one down at the bottom, like so. And then I'm going to show you how we measure where we want to put the smaller pocket, okay? And so let's do that. And I just realized this flap's a little bit bigger than the other flaps. Okay, we're just going to center this on here, and we're going to go as close to the bottom as we can. Okay, make sure we have all the edges are folded in. See, now I messed with it. And let's try that again. All right, is it centered? Relatively closely to the center, and it's straight, and we're going to push it down. Now, for this shorter pocket up here, okay, what we want to do is we want to take one of the smaller tags that fits into those pockets. And this is how I measured where my smaller pocket was going to go on the inside of my little closet. I matched the top edge of the tag up with the top edge of the decorative paper. And then I guesstimated roundabouts, come on, where I wanted my pocket to be, okay? All right, my pocket will hold my tag nicely right in that area, okay? I'm just making sure that it's centered with the other pocket. And then I'm gonna grab a pencil and I'm just gonna make a little mark along the side here and along the bottom here so that I know what area to glue my little pocket down on. Okay, and we are going to go and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and I think I will do that off camera in order to save time on the video. So there we have it. All of our little pockets and or our drawers are glued to the insides of our closet doors. And I will be right back. I'm going to do the other side. Okay, and we are back. And while you were gone and while I was gone, I have gone ahead and cut out one of these little, I want to say film strip pieces from the one page in the kit. And again, that's Tracy Fox Creative Jumbly Dolls. It comes with these 2 strips and these 4 beautiful journal cards on it. And we're going to glue this to the center of our little armoire. Okay. Oh, and I forgot that I made these shorter now. All right. I'm going to have to trim this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit off at the bottom here. Okay. And I'm just going to measure and see if it's short enough. Nope, I think I'm going to have to cut a little bit off at the top here just to make the flap short enough so that it fits. Oh, okay, I guess that's good. All right, it might hang off a little. You know what? I kind of like it. I'm going to leave it as is. All right, I'm just going to ink these edges here. And I did this more for decoration than for anything. I could have just added the doorknob or the dresser knob to this flap here without worrying about adding this little decorative strip. But I'm going to glue it down the center of the flap. You don't have to add it, but I just thought it added a little something to the journal so that when you opened it up, you had something else pretty to look at. All right, I'm going to line this up. I'm going to eyeball the center. I'm going to line it up with the decorative edge of my paper. And that seems to be about center. And I'm going to glue this strip down. And I'm just going to flip this over because I think I may have put too much glue on here. And I did. Let me grab a little wet wipe that's not soaking wet. And I'm just going to wipe off this extra glue here. Okay, I think that'll be good. Okay, so now we have our whole thing together. Did I get glue on here too? Yeah, I did. All right, let me grab the little wet wipe again. And I'm just going to wipe this off. And I know I hit you again, and I do apologize. All right, I think we've gotten most of the glue off. Okay, so now we have the whole inside of our little doll closet done. Okay, now what we'll do, and I'm just going to show you on 2 of these, we're going to add our little doorknobs. So we're going to try and find some that will show up on our little closet doors here. I want kind of opposing colors so that you do see the doorknob. I'm just going to do one of these and then I will go away and finish them up because this video is over an hour already. What I do is I just add some glue into the center of our little doorknob. And I just kind of pick where I think the center is. And I am going to glue my doorknob down to my closet door a little in from the edge. And I'm just going to push it down. And we're going to glue it on. Okay. And I'm going to go on the other side and I'm going to do the same exact thing. And then I'm going to add my other doorknobs. And then we will come back and I actually, you know what? I'm not going to go away. I'm just going to do this doorknob onto this one. And I'm going to eyeball it. And I'm going to say that it's just about even, right about there. And I'm picking it up and that looks about right. So I'm going to glue this doorknob on too. Okay, so we have our 2 closet doorknobs done. And all of our little drawers are on the inside of our closet. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to poke a hole. We are going to add the 1 doorknob with the grommet. And we're going to do that on the outside flap. And that's going to be this one. Okay, and again, I think that's about right. So I'm going to take my little pokey tool. And I am going to try to find my little pokey tool. And I'm going to poke a hole. About there should be good. Okay. And I'm going to poke a little hole in here. Like so. And I'm going to push down. And I'm going to push down. And I'm going to push. And I'm going to poke. And I'm going to keep. Oh, there we go. I'm going to push in my little hole. Like so. And did I get it all the way through? Yes, I did. I'm going to poke it in, and I'm just going to try and open up this little hole here so that I can get my grommet through. And this is our outer doorknob, okay, so that we can add our little string. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to push my paper fastener through that hole and hope I can get it through while I'm on camera, because if I start to have a problem with it, I'm going to shut the camera off and I'm going to come back after I've gotten it through. And I think that's what I'm going to have to do, because I think I need to fiddle with this to get the paper fastener through the hole, like so. Okay, yes, I will be right back as soon as I get that done. Okay. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I did get the grommet through, okay? And it poked through on the other side, like so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it so that I can open up the legs on the little paper fastener. And we're going to push them down, like so. Okay. And now we have our outer doorknob added, and that will be the one that we're going to put our string around. So you can see it hangs over the edge of our little journal here. What am I stuck on? Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to add my string to this so that we can tie it closed. But first, I'm going to add my doorknob to this little flap too, okay? What did I do with my other doorknob? Why do I seem to have, oh, because I forgot to add my knob to this one. Okay, we are going to add our little doorknob right here to this one, okay? So like I did before, I'm just going to put some glue around the center of my little circle here. And I'm going to line this doorknob up with this doorknob. And so I'm going to put the doorknob right about here. And we're fortunate that the colors match up with the colors of our little doll that's on this side. Okay. So we're just going to push down like that. So now we have our inner doorknob, our outer doorknob. And now we're going to add our drawer pull onto our little armoire here, and I think I'm just going to add that right about there in the center, okay, between these two pieces of our little film strip. Okay. And so, again, we'll just add that one to this one. Okay, and I like the way these colors kind of match up. And there we go. We have our little drawer pull on our armoire. Okay, we have our little flap to lift it up with. Okay, so you can fill your drawer. And then we're just going to close it up, and I'm going to add a piece of string to our little outer doorknob, and I'll probably make a piece that's way too long, just like before. But I'm just going to tie this on, and we're going to call this a wrap. Okay, so I'm just going to go around here, and I'm going to tie a knot like so, and add our string. Okay, like so. And we're going to pull that tight like that, and then I'm going to tie another knot so that I know it's secure. And I'm going to pull that like that. Okay, and I'm going to trim off this little excess piece right here. And now we have our closure for our little doll closet. Okay, and we'll just go up here from the bottom, and we'll wrap it around the top like so. So there you have it. There's the little doll closet that we made. Here is my original prototype, which I ended up not really caring for because of the height of it. And here was my prototype that I made, which resulted in this little one that we made together. Now you can see here, I added some little words to my little tab here, buttons and fabrics. These are the ones that I used when we made our little, let me see if I can grab it. Whoop. When we made our doll kit last week. Okay. Remember, we did these. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it below. I have not yet finished decorating the inside of this one. Okay, but you can see I have all little pieces, parts in here that I'm going to add. Okay. I was going to do it on camera, but when I do that, when I do a follow-up and decorating the inside of something or the outside of something, it doesn't really get too many views. So I opted not to decorate it on camera, but I will decorate it, and I will come back and I will show you that. So yeah, those are our two projects so far with our little, I'll put this one in the middle here, the Jumbly Doll Kit. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it wasn't too long. I tried to cut it down as much as I could so that I could get everything done with you and show you how to do it. All right, guys, I'm going to send you lots of love and big hugs and ask you please to remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And when we hit 1,500 subscribers, I am going to have a giveaway for that woodware stamp set with the old paper tag, I think it's called. And I do have something to add to that. And it's the Simon Says stamp pad that I accidentally ordered the same color twice. And so, yeah, I'll give that away too. Okay, guys? So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care for now. Bye-bye. Love, hugs, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.